Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Medeek Floor plugin. My name is Nathaniel P. Wilkerson, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about metal bridging and blocking within the floor plugin. So two new recent additions to the floor plugin. But before we jump into that, let's go into the global settings of the floor plugin real quick, and I just wanted to show you guys here under the Floors tab. I've now added the advanced options section. So basically you can set the default behavior for all of these advanced options like floor sheathing, deck boards, seal plate, ceiling gypsum, etc. And of course I've also added in the metal bridging and the blocking as well. And notice here that I have metal bridging turned on by default, so I just did that specifically for this video. Alright, so let's go ahead and close out of this, and let's go ahead and draw ourselves a floor. So starting here with the floor tool, and you can note that I'm in polyline mode. And so as you can see, each one of these advanced options has a little section, and if you go ahead and turn that on, then a little blocked out section will show all the parameters associated with that specific feature. So we're going to go ahead and turn all these off, and today we're just going to focus on metal bridging and blocking. So let's start with the metal bridging first. We've gone ahead and turned that on. And you'll notice here that we've got about, 5 parameters, I guess. So we've got the row spacing, which is a spacing of the middle bridging, 96 inches, 8 feet. And most of these other 3 parameters, you're probably not going to usually adjust these from the default. I mean, you can, but probably just, typically you'll stick with the default values. Strap width is 1 inch. Strap separation is 1/8 of an inch, and the strap thickness is 0.04 inches, which is pretty typical for a 20 gauge strap. And then of course we will jump into the remove rows parameter here in just a second. So let's go ahead, just draw ourselves a quick 24 by 16 floor. Our joists are going to go in the X direction. So as you can see, we set this to I joists, of course. 2 rows of metal bridging, because we've got it set at 8-foot spacing, row spacing. So we've got 2 rows of bridging. Yeah, pretty basic. This bridging is not real fancy as far as the actual geometry. I've tried to keep it fairly simple, and that allows me to parametrically draw the bridging in rather than have pre-configured components. So it makes it more lightweight and also more configurable on the programming end. All right, so there we go. There's some bridging. Let's go ahead now, and I want to actually throw some blocking in there. But before we do the blocking, I just wanted to demonstrate the Move Edge tool here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice that it hides some of the tags or layers, which allows you to click this outline edge easier. And so I'm going to go ahead and just stretch this out another 8 feet. And that's going to grow our floor to 32 feet instead of 24. All right, so now we've got ourselves 3 rows of metal bridging here going on. All right, so now let's go ahead and turn on, we're going to edit this floor. And just click the edit floor. Okay, so now I want to actually do kind of a combined bridging and blocking floor. So I'm going to turn on the blocking. And before we actually draw it, though, I'm going to just kind of go through these parameters real quick. So basically you can set up 2 different types of solid block. You can do sawn lumber, which is just like a solid rectangular piece. In fact, we're going to start with that. And we're just going to go LSL because that's typically what you're going to do with a I-joist floor, rather than regular sawn lumber. And if we go ahead and click that, you're going to see that these are superimposed on each other. Now we've set that to stagger the blocking. So if you zoom in there real quick, you can see that the blocking staggered. Actually, let's turn off the layer for the hardware just so we kind of get that out of our view for a second here. Okay. So now we've got solid blocking, 8 feet on center, and staggered, of course. So you can see, we can do actually both at once. We can do the metal bridging and the blocking simultaneously, and they're independently controlled. So that gives us a little bit more flexibility. But the one thing I wanted to point out here with the blocking parameters is, so the first 2 parameters, of course, are your general parameters, well, 3 actually. Then we have the remove rows parameter, which we will cover here shortly. And then the next 4 parameters are dependent upon whether you have a sawn lumber blocking or an I-joist blocking. And so you notice here the I-joist family and the I-joist type have been grayed out when sawn lumber is selected. So if we go ahead and select I-joist, now you notice that the blocking width and the blocking material has been grayed out, and now we can select our I-joist family and then our I-joist actual type. So, and we'll just go with the default here and go ahead and update that. And you can see now that it will update and we have I-joist blocks instead of solid blocking. Okay, so let's go ahead and test it without the stagger, and you'll see that they're all in line. Okay, so now they're in line. All right, so what I wanted to show was a combined situation. So you'll notice here that if you click into the model and you look at the actual entity or instance name, you'll see that that says block 1-1, and this is like block 1-2, and then you come down to the next row and block 2-2. So the first number in the series is, or the name is the row number, and then the next number is the actual block number within that row. So then you'll see here it's like 3-3. Right, so that way you can, if you need to know which blocks are belong to which row, you can always click into the model and figure that out if you're unclear. But generally, rule of thumb here, of course, is that the first row starts closest to the origin and then it just works its way away from the origin, and the same with the metal bridging. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the remove rows feature. So what I'm going to do is I want to this first row I want to have metal bridging, then a row of solid blocking, maybe that's sitting over top of a beam, and then I want to have another row of metal bridging. So we've got 3 rows, so I want to remove rows 1 and 3 of the metal, or of the blocking, sorry. So all I need to do is put in 1, 3, and you separate your rows with a comma, and you can, actually you could delete all of them, so you could go 1, 2, 3. But then, I mean, we might as well just turn off the feature if we don't want them. Go ahead and update. And you'll notice that those other 2 rows disappeared, and we just have the second row showing up. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on our hardware again. Now, as you can see, we've got the metal bridging sitting there in the middle of that blocking row. So we're going to remove that, and so we just go and remove row number 2 right there in the metal bridging. Go ahead and update that again. And now you can see that we've got kind of configured what we want. So we've got a row of metal bridging blocking, metal bridging again, all on 8-foot centers. All right, so that just kind of shows you real quick, what you can do with this. It's quite flexible as far as the ability to remove rows and kind of combine options here to suit your needs. All right, a couple things I did want to cover though. So let's go ahead and just double up our joists. And you'll see that the blocking is properly configured and the bracing is properly configured and it adjusted accordingly. So if you do double up the joists, the bridging and the blocking is configured to handle that. However, I did want to demonstrate that if we go now, let's go back to a single ply on those joists. And then I am going to just double up, let's say joist number 5. Okay. So we'll go ahead and let that update for a second. Okay. So now you'll notice that this bridging, where you've got a double joist, it's still treating it like it's a single joist. And also the blocking currently is doing the same thing. So that is not an issue per se, but just something I haven't programmed into the logic yet. So I will need to address that. So a couple things here to note, I guess, or 3 things really. Offset joists, so right here in this section right here, where you can remove joists, offset joists, and double joists, basically the bridging and blocking modules do not yet recognize those modifications. So that is some work in progress stuff that needs to be still taken care of. And I am working on that. All right, other than that, I think overall the module seems to be fairly robust, and yeah, it gives you the option to throw the blocking and the bridging in there. And hopefully, you know, down the road, I'm going to get all this added into the estimating module, and then we can, you know, actually spit out all of these parts and pieces, and it should be kind of nice. So anyways, if anybody has any questions on this or would like to see other modifications, by all means, give me a holler. I'm always open to suggestions. But once again, guys, thank you for your support, and we will talk to you later.